our students, arts, because it has to do with imagination, it has to do with beauty. Tell me the way you speak about beauty, I can know where you are coming from. Beauty is essential, imagination is essential, creativity is essential. This is something that we have to teach, again, in our schools, because the way cultures are dealing with imagination and creativity is so essential. It's so essential that if you are not getting this as part of our education, we end up confusing education with efficiency in economy and in making money, not in producing beauty. So these are things that are so important in developing a philosophy of pluralism. This is the starting point of what we have to do. And in the chapter on education, I'm just going to this dimension, saying in which way we have to deal with that. There are other topics, and there is one central discussion here that we have in all the philosophies and all the spiritualities and all the religions. And it's a very important question for us today. It's the very meaning of freedom. So this is a topic where we think that we don't agree, or we agree superficially in to be free is to do whatever you want. But I have a question. In these times of mass communication, pressure on your mind, then when the publicists, they are dealing with psychologists, you know that. You know that the movies that you have in Hollywood and now Bollywood are produced with the help of psychologists. They know exactly what is needed for you to cry, for you to feel good or bad. Even when you go to the supermarket, you go and you enter, you think that you are free to choose whatever, and there is a music there. I said, oh, good. Yes, very good. They know exactly how to help you to buy. And you feel good. You buy and you feel good. And you feel free. Ask yourself this deep question. How do you get this freedom? How do you know that you want what you want? How do you know that you like what you like? When people sometimes, even with music, are deciding that there is something which is going to be the hit of next summer, I say, okay, I listen to it, it's not quite good. And 1 month later I think, oh yes, at the beginning I thought it was not so good. And then, no, yes, it's good. So you are following a trend, playing with your emotion, and you think because you are reacting to the emotion that this is freedom. Now we know in neurosciences that emotions are not freedom. They are signals sent to your brain, and your brain is reacting. You think that you are free, and your brain is under very close monitoring, psychologically driven and emotionally driven, and you think that you are free. And we have to ask ourselves, how do you get that freedom? Kant, the philosopher Kant and Rousseau were saying, there is never absolute freedom. There are always limitations to freedom. In fact, to experience freedom, you need to have limitations to freedom. No limitation, you are not going to be free. And there is an old story, a philosophical novel. You heard about Robinson Crusoe. You got this, story of this young guy arriving in an island. In fact, this story, we have also this story in Ibn Tufayl, Hay ibn al-Yaqazan. It's someone who arrived in the island and he is free. And then nothing, just the limitation of life, that he needs to eat and drink. And then he starts to think about what is the meaning of my freedom. And he starts to put law in a free space. Because with the law, he's going to experience the true freedom. And this is something which is important for all of us. All the philosophers, all the spiritualities are telling us, you will never experience freedom if you don't get a sense of what discipline is. When I was, as I told you, with the Dalai Lama, 4 o'clock in the morning, he was reciting and reciting, very disciplined. And I was asking him, why are you doing this? Coming from an Islamic tradition, I know that we have something telling us prayer is better than to sleep. Wake up. Wake up and pray. This is the way you free yourself. And he was telling me, you know what? This is the way I'm freeing myself from my ego. Telling me I wake up with discipline to free myself from my ego, because without discipline, my ego is the first jail of myself. I got it. I understand what you mean. That if you are at the surface of your emotion, you are in jail. That spirituality is to come deep down your ego to free yourself from the surface. So this is the difference between spirituality and emotion. Emotion is what you get at the surface of your being. Spirituality is what you get at the bottom of your heart. And you will find this in all the traditions. When I talk like this, a Christian say, I get it. Someone following Socrates say, I get that. A Buddhist, yes, I get it. A Muslim, I get it. A Jew, I get it. Why? Because this is the very essence of our freedom. When are we free? Even contemporary psychologists, the bestseller, Emotional Intelligence, is saying, master your emotions. If not, you are going to be trapped by emotions. So this is where you come with discipline. And why am I saying that you need to learn arts? Because arts is saying us exactly the same lesson. When you listen to a pianist, and when he is improvising, and you see, wow, he seems to be completely free. In fact, behind this freedom, there are hours of demanding, mastering the technique of playing. He can improvise in such a way, improvisation is such visible that he seems or she seems not having a technique, because she or he masters the technique. So there is discipline to get freedom. Spirituality is about this, is master your heart, master your being in order to get this freedom. And ask yourself, why are you doing what you are doing? Why do you think what you are thinking? So there is exactly a paradoxical reality here, that instead of being at the surface, you have to come back to the dimension. And this is why in a chapter on emotion and spirituality, I'm comparing and say, you know what? Emotion is to spirituality what physical attraction is to love. Do you follow that? So what does he mean? I just mean that sometimes you can be physically attracted. It doesn't mean that you love. So sometimes you are driven, and physical attraction could be a jail. It's not freedom. Love is how do you go beyond that? So this is something which is common to all of us. And what I was just trying to do now is to plunge into the topic and to get a sense of the windows. And we can see here that we are sharing. So this is the journey, once again, when it comes to our understanding of this dimension. Let me just come with one last topic which is important. In one chapter, and I think that for us, beyond freedom is the way we deal with our ethics. And I was dealing with, ethics of independence and independence of ethics. It's for all of us, when we get this understanding that we should not be trapped by our emotions, our sense of belonging to people, but to principles, and that we are trying to get this understanding that we belong to principles, is really to be able to understand the independence of ethics. At the end of the day, if you think that things are right or things are wrong, you shouldn't be driven by the people you belong to. You should be critical in the name of the ethics. So this self-critical approach is very important. So it's exactly the opposite of being nationalist or close-minded about my people right or wrong. And in this globalized world today, this is what we see. We see people coming back to, these are my people, and I'm protecting my people. And we are nurturing a sense of otherness and creating the other, just to be able to create or to be clear with who we are. If we come with this, it's going to be very dangerous. It's all this business, all this discussion about identity perceived as a very closed world.